Hey everybody, I'm Tobias, and I return with a segment not even I expected to bring back. Yes, it's my Roblox ASMR series, my TF2 Extract series, where I catch you guys up on the latest news in the TF2 community. Before we get to business, I'll mention that I started college this semester, so I've been finding a healthier balance of school and my usual hobbies. Anyways, this time a lot has been happening in the community itself, from big events like Tip of the Hats 2017, the 10th anniversary, community projects and merchandise, as well as the changing state of the community itself. Starting off with Tip of the Hats 2017, if you aren't aware of who they are the biggest fundraising group within the TF2 community, and that holds events such like jump map races, MGE tournaments, surfing, pub games, and now this year, they've begun to expand beyond their usual variety, with TF2 of course still its main focus. The inclusion of an Overwatch segment, as well as an even bigger segment dedicated to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which was indeed a daring move, but effectively complemented the goofy setting of the event and appealed to a much broader audience. The purpose is to give cancer patients a place to recover spiritually through camp. The donation incentives this year included their promotional t-shirt, I myself ordered a sweater, and the keychain of their mascot Sally, stickers, and of course a pin. And they had a new in-game badge this year to boot. The cast was bigger than last year's, and they even had Uncle Dane and Scott Jaw to join them. This year they raised a total of over $160,000, which sends 160 kids to camp. I'll be sure to show you the sweater when it arrives. Back in August, Funko announced the addition of various figures of Portal and, you guessed it, our beloved TF2 characters. Although slated for an October release to tie in with the 10th anniversary of the game, people have been finding them as early as late September in store. As seen on Reddit, not that I point farmed or anything, with the release bearing the Scout, Heavy, and Medic, one class from each of the three categories. I found a Scout unexpectedly and picked him up from my local GameStop around the same time. Another item beginning to make its way around is the TF2 themed Monopoly board game, with each property being various maps from the TF2 game, and player pieces being a balloonicorn, a payload, towering pillar of hats, a level 1 sentry, a wooden cow, and a saxy. The board game is an expensive $40 USD, so it's mainly for you collectors out there. And for the artisans out there, Medley20 is putting together a Mosaic, or how the hell do you say that, with now over 1,000 plus submissions of our art pieces to celebrate. So stay tuned to RTF2 for the finished result on the big day. Lastly, for anniversary stuff, a new group called TotH is coming together to issue a 24-hour stream split into 3 segments, with the first segment being the AU and Oceanic region, next one being Europe, and finally NA, to reach audiences all around the world, with each segment with a relatively similar schedule, but hosted by their respective regional important peoples. They're asking content creators to writers, as well as past event recordings from various TF2 events. They reached out to TF Crew for starters, and should bear familiar personalities you've seen at TotH and the Insomnia series. Looks like they aim to highlight the best of TF2's 10 years with no blind spot to any region in the world. Next, we have the introduction of various media-based groups comprised of YouTubers in the TF2 community, some of which being TF Crew, Blaperture Co., and even my own SFM group called TeamSource. They began to form shortly after Meet Your Match released, and TF Crew band together to create legacy servers and are currently sharing mutual Twitch support among themselves. They comprise of some of the current popular people managed by Uncle Dane. Next, we have Blaperture Co. having formed as the middle ground under Timo, and have had recent exploits with their very own successful charity stream back in July, raising $10,000 and contributing a badge for 2 supporters. This milestone has begun to pave the path for newer groups in hopes of also making a name for themselves. As for TeamSource, which is my group, we have nothing to do with YouTube stuff as a whole, but instead we promote SFM contests. Originally we formed back in December 2016 under the idea of us being thumbnail artists for hire, But now we work together to create these contests and promoting in the TF2 update page style. I'll stick a video I made about it since I ramble too much. Speaking of my group, Kritzcrast has teamed up with us to host an SFM contest up till October 10th, which is also conveniently the TF2 10th anniversary. We have this colorful graphic that demonstrates what we do as a group, but builds interest in some SFM competition. If you're interested, take a peek at the details via the video card in the top right of the description below. Finally, it's now roughly the month of October, which means the annual Halloween event, and with the annual Halloween event comes the assumed new Halloween items in the assumed new case since the rainy day update back in May. In August, the TF2 team released changes to the case unbox system, detailing a rotating shared list of unusual effects to be applied to all cases from Gunmetal going forward. So hopefully we get to see positive effects of that when or if they assumedly release the next update. You'd think that we'd have some news on the Pyro update since my last entry in this series, which was over a year ago. But let's not get into that discussion. So that concludes this episode of TF2 Extract, but we will continue when we get some actual first-party news in general, and funny enough, this video barely had any. Anyways, if you like this series and deem it worthy to be seen by eyes other than your own, leave a like, and if not, let's wrap this up with your thoughts on collaborative YouTuber groups in the comments below. Whether you love them or wish to see them burn, let us know, and if you hate anybody in particular, you can keep that to yourself unless it's me. Just remember, no swears, cause this is a Christian server. That is all folks, this is TotH, and I'll catch you guys later.